A lot of people get false hope at the verbal offer stage where they feel very confident, because the way the verbal offer is often phrased is the team really liked you, we would like to extend you an offer, what do you think of this number, or what's your preferred number? And so you're like, oh, okay, I'm done with the interview process, now I can start negotiating. However, you don't want to negotiate at that stage. Many people have been burned by getting false confidence at the verbal offer stage, starting negotiating pretty aggressively, and then never getting to the written offer stage. We're here with Muji
also,
again. I want
yeah.
Muji's face in all of these because it's so adorable. But she's sleeping, so she's like, what are you doing to me? You know how when you do a thumb up, there's a bubble, there's a like bubble?
There it is.
There it is. We were trying to figure out how to remove this from happening on this recording, and I said, let's just not lose inspiration. Let's just record and get to it. And then I was like, oh, it might be interesting for people to know what we mean by don't lose inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it came from Sal Khan, the founder of Khan Academy. He gave a talk at MIT, a commencement speech. And he, as part of the advice to the graduating class, he said something like, don't lose inspiration. When inspiration strikes you, let's say for a run or for a project or whatever, don't lose inspiration, just go do it. I think he said it back in 2012, and we've been saying this to each other a lot.
Yeah.
And I really like that.
And I'm remembering whenever we have inspirational workout, even if it's like 1 a.m., because we tend to be night owls, and we would tell each other, I kind of feel like working out is like, don't lose inspiration, go work out right now, because you don't know if that might not come back, and then you just don't end up working out, right? So we say that all the time.
Yeah, we say that a lot. And then we wanted to share this other concept that we use a lot, which is called turtles. A lot of our close friends know about it. We came up with it ourselves. Basically what it is I'm a pretty anxious person, and if I'm noticing an off energy, or if I'm picking up on maybe Alex seems upset or he's in deep thought, I want to know what he's thinking.
Or if there's something you want to talk about,
or
that's
if I
kind
want
of
to talk about. Yeah.
Like conflict, not conflict, but maybe something I did or said bothered you, or vice versa, or feedback. Yeah.
So we say, do you have a turtle, or I have a turtle? And we came up with it because the idea was you want to squash a turtle, figuratively, instead of letting it fester and turning into a ninja turtle, which can hurt you.
Yeah.
And that has really helped our communication. I think we came up with this very early on in our relationship. We're almost about a week away from our 13-year anniversary of being together. That's so cool. And I think we've been using turtles for at least 10 years, probably a lot more.
Yeah. And I think that because Gerta is the type of person who, if she notices something is off, or if there's a conflict, you want to talk about it, resolve it right away. Mm-hmm. Whereas for me, I'm someone who, I think I've gotten better over time, but I used to just not want to address things right away, or I would sit on it for a while. So we implemented this whole turtle system to make it a lot more approachable and easier to just bring up things that are bothering us to discuss with. So if you address them when they're small, then they don't become monsters or the Ninja Turtles that you're talking about. Yeah.
Although, to be fair, I have noticed, I never thought I would think this way, but I have noticed that sometimes just letting things roll off your skin, sometimes they just go away. I was never of this life philosophy, but I have seen the value of that. So sometimes you don't need to address everything. I'm sure there must be some differentiation about what you want to address versus what you don't. Maybe someone was in a bad mood because tired or had some work issues or whatever. You don't have to have a full conversation, unless you don't know what they're going through. And you're like, do you have a turtle? And you're like, oh no, I'm just tired from work. That's actually my favorite conversation. Like, it's nothing bad.
Yeah. It's not necessarily picking the right battles, but just knowing that, like, trusting that it's not always about you or the thing that you think is happening or what.
I think what came to mind right now is the Barbara Streisand effect, which, if for people who don't know, I will probably butcher this story, but the idea is Someone posted her home address on the internet.
Or it's like a picture of it from above.
Or a picture of it. And then she made such a big deal out of it where now people found out where she lives because she blasted it everywhere. Like, this newspaper put my home address or home pictures on the internet. This is unsafe. People will find out where I live and all that. And now people found out because she amplified the news versus maybe if she hadn't said anything, it would probably just die down and very few people would know. I think that's the gist of the Barbra Streisand effect. So how this connects to the way you approach things is sometimes not calling out every little thing just lets it stay as small as it initially was. But if you call it out and you have a whole conversation around it, now it's a thing. Now it's a bigger thing that it needed to be. Maybe we should think about what topics this applies to. For me personally, because I'm an anxious person, it really helps when I'm like, hey, do you have a turtle? And you're like, no, I'm just tired. Or, oh, I'm a little sad about, I don't know, work or whatever. Back when you had different jobs. And that just puts my mind at ease. And we don't have to have a much deeper conversation. I feel like every time Muji is snoring, I don't know if the mic can pick it up. I feel like I'm saying something boring.
I do want to think about at what times, what falls in the category of you can just kind of let it be. You don't have to make it a thing. And other things like this actually needs to be addressed, right?
Right.
There's probably a good model there for deeper thinking. We'll think about it and...
This can be a part 2. There can be a part 2 here.
Yeah.
So Alex DJs on the side, as you probably know, as a very serious hobby, which is so fun. Maybe with a promoter or something, they were maybe a little difficult to work with. You didn't have to have a full conversation. Hey, you're difficult to work with. I can't do this again anymore. You just file it away. This person was difficult to work with. I'm keeping that in mind for next time. This is just someone you will occasionally cross paths with. It's not someone you're super close to and you need to have a full-on conversation. Maybe we can now go to talking about the verbal offer.
Yes. The verbal offer throughout the entire interview process, from when you first apply to actually signing an offer, is one of the trickiest points throughout the whole process from a negotiations perspective. It's because the company has basically indicated that they want you, but there's nothing necessarily binding them to you or vice versa.
Yeah, I want to jump in here. A lot of people get false hope at the verbal offer stage where they feel very confident because the way the verbal offer is often phrased is the team really liked you. We would like to extend you an offer. What do you think of this number? Or what's your preferred number? And so you're like, oh, okay, I'm done with the interview process. Now I can start negotiating. However, you don't want to negotiate at that stage. Many people have been burned by getting false confidence at the verbal offer stage, starting negotiating pretty aggressively, and then never getting to the written offer stage. So that's one of the reasons why it's very tricky. You do not have as much security as you think you do at the verbal offer stage. And what that means is that you want to get to a written offer. That will give you a lot more assurance. Getting a written offer, there's only one written offer that goes out per open seat at a given time. Because play this backwards, a company does not give 2 written offers to 2 different people for 1 open seat, because what if they both sign? So who's sitting in that seat, right? So only 1 written offer goes out at a given point. And if you get it, that's how you know you're the absolute chosen candidate. At the verbal offer stage, you don't know that for a fact. They might make you feel very special, but you don't actually know that for a fact. At the verbal offer stage, you want to ask for written offers so you have the sense of security that your offer is less likely to get rescinded and you're more likely to get what you want when you start asking for more money, more whatever you decide, vacation, start date, RSUs, whatever it is. Another reason why the verbal offer is very tricky is because that's where the company's priorities and your priorities are clashing the most. The company's priorities throughout the process, of course, other than interviews, but from a negotiations perspective, are to get as much information out of you as possible. They want to know what your preferred salary is. Who are the other companies you're talking to? Do you have other offers? How much, if you have other offers, what are the details? If you don't have other offers, who are you talking to? How far along are you? Also, things about your personal life. We'd like to think that they should not factor in, but if you are about to have a kid, that matters to a company, even though they're not supposed to discriminate against that. If you want to move to an entire different country or different city and they care about you being in person, all types of personal details about your life matter to the company that we don't want to share, but they can factor them into the offer. If they even make you an offer to begin with, but whether they make you an offer or not, as well as what type of offer they make you. You, on the other hand, as a job applicant, you have the exact opposite goals. So you don't want to share your preferred salary. We've covered this in a previous episode. You don't want to share anything about your personal life, even though it's generally legal for a company to factor in your personal life into their decision on whether to hire you or not. They do it all the time. It's your word against theirs. Probably you have no proof and all that. And what are you going to do? Sue Apple or Google? I'm just making these companies up.
Never heard of them.
Never heard of them. Not that they've done anything shady ever. Yeah. Moving on. So your goal is to not share any personal life details, not share your preferred salary. Go back to our previous episodes on why. And not share anything about who you're talking to, what other companies you're talking to, if you have offers, what they look like. Don't even share the type of companies you're talking to.
Like industry.
Yeah.
Or
Do you want to go into the example of the client with the AI?
Yeah. So we had a past client and she was interviewing with Google. At the time when she was about to have a call with a recruiter, she actually got another offer from an AI company. And she had the call with the Google recruiter. And then she came back and we were debriefing with her. We had said, don't share anything about your other offers. And she said, okay, I told her that I got another offer. I didn't tell them who it was, but I just mentioned that it's an AI company, but they don't know who it is. Well, just by saying AI company, she actually gave away a lot of information to the Google recruiter. Because for the Google recruiter, one thing that is very common in the industry right now is that we actually still don't refer to any of the big tech companies like Apple, Meta, Amazon, Google as AI companies. We still call them tech or big tech companies. Mm-hmm. So the Google recruiter could make a calculated guess that the other company she just got an offer from is likely smaller than Google. At the time, there were lots of AI companies. Pretty much most of them are pre-IPO. Private companies tend to be startups. Those tend to pay lower in cash, higher in equity. So then if she gets to the offer stage with Google, they can take a risk at giving her an initial offer that is on the lower end of their cash range because they think that her other option may be comparable because she mentioned that it's an AI company. Just by saying AI company in passing on a call with a recruiter that seemed very harmless, seemed very innocuous, actually can impact the initial numbers that you get if you get to the offer stage. We've seen that these offers are probably coming in lower than what they could have been. Mm-hmm. And when we dig into actually all the things that have been shared previously, it starts to add up and make sense as to why.
Yeah, I really like that example. We actually had another example recently of why not to share anything about your other offers. So we had a client who had an offer from TikTok and an offer from a health tech startup. And so he was very proud to have an offer from these two amazing companies. And he was very tempted to go and tell each of them that he had an offer from the other. Here's why we told him not to share that. If you go to a health tech company, their advantage in the market compared to TikTok is not money. TikTok pays top of market. Health tech startups, it was an early stage startup, will never be able to pay as much as TikTok pays. So if you tell them, hey, I have another offer from TikTok, they're like, well, our advantage is the mission. We're a health tech company and we can never compete with a TikTok offer. So we will not increase your offer, or at least not increase it by much. Now, similarly, if you go to TikTok and you say, hey, I have another offer, it's from a health tech startup. TikTok says, we pay top of market. A startup can never pay as much as we do. And so we have no reason why to increase our offer. If you just want to go work at a startup, then go work at a startup. And so this is another reason why you might think that, wow, I have other offers, I should share about them. And wow, I got an offer from TikTok, which is a huge name, and from a health tech startup, which is an amazing mission. I should share about them to each other, but here's why you don't share. If you tell TikTok I have another offer and they don't know who it's from, they could think it could be from, what's a good TikTok competitor? Like Meta, right? Instagram, Snapchat, or whatever. And so now they don't want you to be out there in the market. This talent is being stolen away from potentially a competitor. So they have more incentive to give you more money to win you over if they don't know who your other offer is from. Similarly, for a health tech startup, if they don't know who your other offer is from, it could be another health tech startup. And they're like, we don't want this talent to be stolen away from us. Let's see what we can do with the offer. So this is another example of why not to share.
And I have a third example to really reinforce this. So we had also been talking with someone in the context of our business. It was almost the reverse situation as that Google AI company example. This person was applying to an AI company, but also had received an offer from a really big tech company. I think it was Amazon. And this Amazon offer was really good. It paid a lot. She was very proud of it. When she was interviewing with the founders at that point, she was in the final stages, she very proudly brought up the fact that she had this Amazon offer. She brought it up to use as leverage. It's like, I'm getting paid a lot of money, so if I get an offer from you guys, I should be getting paid a lot. Turns out that these founders of this AI company, actually, I think they were former Meta engineers. They had left the big tech world to go start a scrappy startup. They really valued people who could move fast, not be big company people. And the fact that she had put so much emphasis and almost pride in the fact that she got a big tech company offer, well, for these founders, that signaled, actually, is she the type of person that we want at our startup? We need people who can move fast, think very scrappily, innovatively.
Rejecting the big company ethos.
Right. So just by sharing all that, it actually made the whole negotiation process a lot bumpier, and there were much more hurdles to overcome because of the fact that she shared that she had that other offer.
Now they put her candidacy to question because she thought it would be an advantage. I'm desirable in the market. This amazing company wants me. I'm a very competitive company. But now they're like, wait, are you the right person for this if you're considering our roles, but also an Amazon role, which is a very different culture, very different type of company.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So we talked about the verbal offer,
why it's the most important point in the entire negotiation, why you should ask for a written offer, and how. If we didn't cover it here, we covered it in a previous episode. And then examples of why oversharing can hurt you, even when you think it's helping you. I think that's good. If you have any other questions, reach out to us, put in comments anywhere this will be, and it will help us know what content to talk about.
All right. With that, we will see you on the next episode.